What are the big things holding you back, or what are the big frustrations you're dealing with now in your industry? What would you say is your
I
biggest
think
challenge?
for the pretty much for all of my career, it's always been marketing. I think there's just so much
Hmm.
noise, and AI is has increased that even more now. It just all every video you look at and go, is that real? So from a marketing
Yeah.
standpoint, I think just getting in front of people for us, just getting that opportunity. Once we get in front of people, we have a very high success rate. So I think the marketing side has always been kind of, you know, I wish I had a better handle on that. I think, the next thing is navigating the people side, the change management. While we're not trying to bring in automation to really cut our workforce, that might happen for some of our clients that we're working for. We're bringing
Hmm.
in, but we need people to shift their mindset from an hourly mindset to a productivity mindset for this transformation to really work well. And for a lot of times, people have been trained for, 20, 30 years that my value comes from time as opposed to value. And that's just not true. I mean, it never has been true. It's just time was just the easiest way for us to account for that, and it was a close approximation. Now
Yeah.
that is really breaking because I can have somebody, in that role. You know, I don't know if you've ever read a book by was it Nassim Taleb, The Black Swan, and he talks in there about normal Stan and Extremistan, right? Normal Stan is if I take a stadium full of people and take the average weight, no one person could really impact the average weight, even if they were the heaviest person in the world. But if I take that stadium and I take the average income and I put, Elon Musk in there, I got one guy, he changes everything, right? So he lives in a different world, or the world of Extremistan, and that changes things. And we're moving to that with AI when you can take your abilities and 10x your output. Those two guys are not the same. Before, you got a guy in the factory, maybe he can do twice as much labor, right? Okay. 10 times? Probably not, right? And most of the time, you're going to be in a distribution where you got a guy who's doing 20% more. Okay. And that's good, but it's not 10 times. It's not 4 or 5 times, which is what we're seeing in this world. So this is starting to break that connection from time to value. And then therefore we're going to have to retool their thinking because that dictates how they use their time and how they show up. And so that's the next big thing. And that's why I'm revamping the comp structures to re to make sure we're getting alignment, and getting everybody, going in the right direction so that we can
What's your thoughts on that? When you say comp, what are you thinking on that?
that
That's kind of
I think that, there's this thought that, like you said, AI is going to come and take your job. And I will tell them that is highly probable if you're not willing to change. Not and I'm not saying that as to scare you. That's just the reality of the situation but the question is if you're open to working with these tools and understanding that, then I think that what I'm moving to, I don't know if it's the only solution, is trying to come up with some sort of base and basically move any type of movement forward, any type of raises forward as a value add. Meaning, as we increase the value and we're able to increase our um, basically our revenue, then we're going to
your
do a
profit.
revenue share, or
Yeah.
profit or revenue share with them. And we're still working through that, whether that's going to be on a team level or whether that's going to be on an individual level. I don't know that I can. So, this is a philosophical debate that we're still working through to understand whether we want it to be team oriented or individually oriented, and you have to kind of walk that balance, or maybe a combination of both. It depends really upon the metrics that we're able to maintain, as they're producing the work. In aggregate, it's probably a little bit easier for us, even at this time, to be able to maintain productivity as people and here's where the transition comes, is because generally we don't have enough work within one group, especially as we become more productive. So if we had one job with a client, meaning one full-time position, we're now going in and saying is, okay, we're going to do that job for you at 3/4 the cost we were before, but we're no longer bound by time. But we're working now to do that at 1/3 of the time we did before. So that's the way the economics are kind of working out, is you were paying this, let's say $100 a day. We're going to do it for 75, and we're going to do it in, 2.33 hours
Mhm.
out of the
Mhm.
day. That's how we're seeing the economics. And then we're going to basically take some of that extra time, and share an extra, revenue, and share that with the employee. But we're going to have to see them increase the volume. And then a lot of times people don't want to do that, right? Because they're equating like, oh, well, now I'm doing double the amount of work. I should get double. Well,
Yeah, exactly.